Welcome back in to another episode of the best history lesson and spiritual insights on the planet. This is the Spaceman 2.0 Phoenix Truth Rising Show, here to help you grow in the knowledge and wisdom of truth, and the truth will set you free. Exposure of the Illuminati's plan of world conquest is the death knell to the New World Order. The Phoenix Journal, Through Darkness and the Light, Endless Cycles of the Divine Plan, Volume 1, goes into great history from the Sumerian text about the creation of our solar system and our planet with regards to Genesis and the Enuma Elish, which is one of the first Mesopotamian texts to describe this. And we'll get back on into what was that cataclysm in the summary of that, some paganism and how that became, and then more on what the Phoenix Journals were all about. A little bit of talk with personal things within the journals, but regards how the journals are and what they are for with the divine plan will be explained. And after that, we'll get more on into the Sumerians and biblical aspects of the photon belt and what the scientists say about 3 days of darkness and getting through that, and what the hosts of heaven say about that, with the confederation of the hosts of heaven, how they can be helping us out. But there are choices because we gave our power away to the elite, the Illuminati, so to speak, and we have to reclaim our power. And as we move on through this journal, we'll get on into the offshore oil Zapata, which was used for smuggling in heroin and drugs through George Herbert Walker Bush in the 70s, 76. So the Bushes have been in control of the drug trade into the USA through the CIA and other means for a long time. And we'll get into the history of that, how France was connected with the heroin trade, and England as well, the United States as well, in Korea, and how the French were controlling Indochina for the reason of the heroin trade. So, and that's what in the 50s what the CIA did to go into Vietnam, because the French were controlling the heroin trade. So the CIA wanted to control it through saying there needs to be a war. So with that being said, the best history lesson of all means is given out through the Phoenix Journals. Get yours today. Scroll down below and see how you can donate and get one shipped out to you. There is only a limited amount, and these are the instructions for those who will be a remnant, maybe one of the 144,000 that need to be aware to reclaim the planet as gods and not the elites anymore. With that being said, let's get back on into Through Darkness and the Light, Endless Cycles of the Divine Plan, Volume 1. So in the last episode, we're finishing off with the Sumerian answer for what was the cataclysm that created our solar system in the first place. And I got cut off, so we'll just continue on. What was the cataclysm? Mankind has possessed the Sumerian answer for some 6,000 or more years, the celestial battle between Nibiru Marduk and Tiamat. In the Sumerian cosmogony, the members of the solar system were depicted as celestial gods, male and female, whose creation was compared to birth, whose existence was that of living creatures. In the Enuma Elish text, Tiamat in particular was described as a female, a mother who gave birth to a host of 11 satellites, her horde, led by Kingu, whom she elevated. As Nibiru Marduk and his horde neared her, in fury Tiamat cried out aloud, her legs shook to their roots. Against her attackers she repeatedly cast a spell. When the Lord spread his net to enmesh her, and the evil wind, which followed behind, he let loose in her face, Tiamat opened her mouth to consume it, but then other winds of Nibiru Marduk charged her belly and distended her body. Indeed, go and cut off the life of Tiamat was the order given by the outer planets to the invader. He accomplished that by cutting through her insides, splitting her heart. Having thus subdued her, he extinguished her life. Paganism. For a very long time, this view of the planets, and especially of Tiamat, as living entities that could be born and could die, has been dismissed as primitive paganism. But the exploration of the planetary system in recent decades has surely in fact revealed worlds of which the word alive has been repeatedly used. The Earth itself as a living planet has been forcefully put forth as the Gaia hypothesis by James E. Lovelock in the 1970s, and great honor is due this man. It has again been reinforced by him in a new work called The Ages of Gaia, a biography of our living Earth. It is a hypothesis that views the Earth and the life that has evolved upon it as a single organism. Earth is not just an inanimate globe upon which there is life. It is a coherent, if complex body that is itself alive through its mass and land surface, its oceans and atmosphere, and through the flora and fauna which it sustains and which in turn sustain Earth. The largest living creature on Earth, Lovelock wrote, is the Earth itself. And in that, he admitted, he was revisiting the ancient concept of Mother Earth, or as the Greeks called her long ago, Gaia. But in fact, he had gone back to Sumerian times and to their ancient knowledge of the planet that was cleaved apart. We shall next consider Witness to Genesis. Thank you. HATONN to clear, please. Chapter 14. Recording number 1, HATONN, Monday, June 15, 1992, 7:55 a.m., Year 5, Day 304. Thought for today. If you were to sell your character today, would you get full retail price, or would it go for a bargain basement price? How about wholesale? It would seem most wise to view of your response to hold yourself responsible for a high standard than anyone else expects of you, and therefore there need never be excuses. And always remember, the great man shows his greatness by the way he treats the little man. How do you treat your brother, your enemy, your neighbor, your spouse, your child? How great are you? Necessary reminders of this work. I must again take time to remind all readers and spies who would tear us down exactly what we are and what we are about. We had a spy sent to our meeting on Saturday. Mind you, our meetings are simply because one's at work here and others who are visitors come to share information, facts, express care, and obviously hate. Nowadays, spies can come in through our smartphones, dumb phones, really through cameras, microphones, GPS, apps, all that stuff. We are not a group as in church. We are not a cult as in anything. We are not even in the publishing or newspaper business, as George's bank account can so easily attest. We have a mission to bring you a compilation of integrated truth from whatever resource we find available. Let me make this clear. This is the mission statement here. We have a mission to bring you a compilation of integrated truth from whatever resource we find available. We would write nothing if it were that you ones could know what work and whose work wherein you could find this information and get it. I have never offered other. If you get information from me right off the press or not yet having happened, I shall always make sure it has been offered somewhere. We do not place our workers or speakers in more jeopardy than already abounds about them. If you care not for this style of sharing, then it is your privilege to throw all the information in the trash. I would suggest, however, that you check most carefully lest you be throwing your soul in transition into the trash along with God and who sends this word. So that's pretty clear on what this is all about. The Phoenix Journals are here as our instructions to understand the truth of what's taking place with the world's elite taking over the planet at this time for the last millennia or so. In our midst, yes, George, one did come into the meeting on Saturday, but there are always some, either already among you or sent in to disrupt and destroy you. Fear not, for I attend them with a great deal of indigestion. There are several things which need reminding to the public. 1. We share because you ask. Our work is a mission in which we are sent to fulfill the promise of higher source, to give you truth so that you can know enough in truth to take proper actions and not constructed doctrines of groupies, to make wise choices relative to your spiritual divinity, origin, and destination. That was the final promise of the master teacher when he departed your place, and the promise made by your Creator for soul journey is the only important one item in your existence. 2. Our physical work is to gather information so that you can have confirmation of facts given in such a way that if a writer is inconclusive or draws incorrect conclusions from otherwise quite accurate presentations, you can know and go forth and get the volumes for further research. I do not simply give information at the onset, for almost all will not go and get the writings in point. We are efforting to grow into such a stable size as to allow support for the publisher so that works publishable elsewhere can be printed and made available, and allow distribution of all such documents which are taken off the shelves elsewhere. If your books' authors are not removed from shelves, get serious. You are not on the truth in whole path. To actually push your books indicates that you are really a help to the deceivers in furthering deceit. 3. Dharma has so many other things to do that she would petition to stop writing this moment and never speak for me again. We have our relationship stable and eternal. She certainly doesn't need jibes and pokes, slings and rocks. She gets absolutely nothing save headaches and tired bones from her labor. That and the loving care of the hundreds and thousands who do appreciate our work. Now, George, you must face the truth, son. You have enemies about you, ones who alert the insiders and troublemakers the instant the rough drafts are shown. It is now having to await publishing in some instances, but the word goes forth on the computer network, the communications network, and all the intelligence branches. You can hide your head in the sand as long as you wish, but you will also continue to have problems, as on Saturday. The person in point had to have been altered in advance, and the subject matter is that which is in point, so that I could prove the point herein. You are also fed erroneous information in order to catch HATONN and discredit the work. It will be easier to keep separation after the final full shift of the publishing company to Nevada along with the distribution company. It has never been other than separated, but ones who read seem to connect the two, because in the beginning there was no other way to contact me than through American West. There are many books in George's library for offering with which he is more familiar than he is with mine. Desiree has even insisted on publishing and distributing books on the meditation and ascension, in which I take full exception. This is your company, and they may do exactly what they wish to do with it. George will continue to send us mail received by then and intended for the paper information or confirmation by forwarding it. However, we welcome the opportunity to cut down on their massive load by asking you to write or send directly by, okay, this is no longer in operation, so please don't take that into account. The work which must be done in industry and business can be begun immediately in Nevada, whereas in this small, corrupt little village, we must go through incredibly difficult planning committees and town councils which are completely bought and serve their moneyed monsters. You cannot wait. All truth will stand. As to writings, we welcome any and all lawsuits. We very carefully chose to call our writings journals instead of books for the sharing of information as with magazines and new publications. In addition, the paper is a compilation of information of correct input to the limits of human input to select through guidance. Yes, indeed, I do write most all of the paper at this time, but as we expand, we fully intend to handle it much like the Like Report, in that we will offer you all manners of information from various writers and publications. We have already begun by giving you bits of Dr. Coleman's work, Eustace Mullen's work, and I believe that George will be handling all of Mullen's work in the near future. We are publishing a series of the Inslaw material from the Napa Sentinel and have much information from one R.R. who writes all about the San Luis Obispo connections and other inside truthful versions of things, such as the Kennedy assassination, etc. This work is fully as correct and dangerous as any committee of 300 divulgence, for it deals with ones in your own government, and especially the most vile group of all, coming out of San Luis Obispo area. The author sent the work unsolicited with permission to use any and or all for use in informing the public. If a man wants to hold truth for self and deny readers the input, check out the intent and know that much of the work is invalid. We will never use any book or writing without the evaluation of content. Further, we recommend a writing does not mean that we agree with all portions of the writings, only that which is presented and that which is given with instructions to evaluate for self. Very often a book may be almost totally correct and the conclusion is completely incorrect, or most of the presentation is correct while parts are totally invalid, as seen from higher and comprehensive view. We haven't the time or space to analyze every sentence for you. That is what your mind is for, so be it. The current work. Dealing with the divine plan causes us to need begin at the beginning. I choose to begin with those writings of the Sumerians of Mesopotamia, who were correct. Some have erred in the translations, but I find one particular book which presents the perceptions better than others, even scholars with no other interest than in translations. This person in point regarding Genesis is outstanding, and his work is available. His name is Zecharia Sitchin. I do not, however, agree with conclusions in his first writings to the extent I honor his book, Genesis Revisited. I specifically ask that no information regarding this material be sent to Dharma, for these perturbations of rock throwing for copying are too hard to attend. But as with all good Samaritans, the work arrives from every direction. We most certainly appreciate it, and in retrospect, I am now quite glad. A volume of this very work in point showed up from a precious friend, having found it at a UFO exposition. I discount almost all material found at UFO expos. I further discount almost all material found at New Age expos. I find very, very little truth on your bookshelves, as a matter of fact. Does this make me a snob? Does it make me more intelligent? Does it make me greater? No, it means I have more technology available and know the story and what is going on, and you can't. That means further that I can evaluate material written for your consumption, and you have to worry over it until you garner truth. Sitchin has written other books, but I shan't even name them herein, for I have no interest in them. George will make them available to all readers in time if you want them, or if I choose to utilize them. I shall not be blackmailed by ones attending our private meetings as guests who then insist on royalties and or favors from us under threat of lawsuit. Important for all you authors. You had better learn your laws, for, even as bad as they are, you misunderstand copyrights. You cannot copyright truth. I further have no interest in your opinions except as they are correct, and I shall comment preferably favorably. If your work is good, I shall push and shove your material until our readers weary of the assault, for I have no intent of total coverage of material. Our thrust is insight and awakening and causing ones to research and glean knowledge from correct resources. Further, you can copy a volume word for word, and if your conclusions are not identical, then you have not infringed copyrights. It may mean nothing to you at this moment, but the time will come that the only reason your work stands is because we have shared it. I have piles of documents from worthwhile writers awaiting possible use, sent from those writers to be shared. Eustace Mullins is one in point. Early on, he said, "Use anything, for it's for the insight of the people. It is my only purpose in writing. Who might you be writing for, and why?" Now as to Mr. Sitchin's work, I am going to herein tell you that there is a petition for publication of a manuscript, which was not included with the request, only the index, but it is so like Sitchin's work as to be quite relevant at this writing. The author comes from Crowley, Texas, and states that this is a new and undiscovered work and is being presented for this new age. It is stated that it will blow your mind. It names the same names, places, and Sumerian texts. Is this one infringing on Sitchin's work? Truth is truth, and good research will reveal this truth. This does not point out that Mr. Sitchin is not the only one writing about Sumerians and old texts of truth. It is exactly as with the Committee of 300. No one was more shocked than was Coleman to find I had 2 other full documents bearing the same information, and we had not missed a point in our earlier writings. I suggest that you authors take a bit more attention to others as you perceive your writings to be the only ones. Once truth is in the ethers, it is going to be scattered. I find it amusing to note that Bill Cooper was going to sue me and denounce my people because I somehow supposedly stole his material. I suggest his face may be a bit red to find that I continually hear from readers who insist that Cooper has simply plagiarized all the journals since. I am grateful if it be so, but the facts are that Mr. Cooper wishes it would be otherwise. However, truth is truth is truth, and if truth be told, it will match other truth. So with that being said, let's ponder these words so we can understand that the truth will set us free, as was told by the master teacher. So we'll get into the photon belt, the 3 days of darkness, and other history lessons on the drug trade, through the oil trade, through Vietnam, and the wars with the CIA going in there in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back with another Phoenix Truth episode show. And if you'd like your copy, scroll down below and see how you can donate and get 3 journals shipped out to you, because that's the best way. For the shipping prices are about 60% of the donation fee down below. With that being said, it's the Spaceman 2.0, and I'm out.